Hello, welcome to the Abyss. This is Doc Nihilus, and tonight we have a very special show. We have a couple of guests on at the same time. The names are Rhiannon Larkspur and Tao Winter. So we're looking forward to seeing them on the stream. All right, I sent. Hello, welcome. I can't hear you.
Okay, I've never done this before.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. There we go.
All right, awesome, perfect timing.
Awesome.
All right. So, first question. How did you guys get interested in Thelema?
You start.
It's been more than a decade now, but I went here locally in Central Florida to a Tarot meetup. Just happened to be in the area I was living in at the time, and started talking to some of the people. I didn't even realize who they were, but at the time, the deputy body master was there. And at the end of this Tarot meetup, like, oh, you would really enjoy. You'd be a really good fit in the OTO because of the knowledge you have already. That was 12 years ago. Yeah.
And I myself had never heard of Thelema until I met Tom here, Priory Winter, in 2014. Of course, I had heard of Aleister Crowley, but never did much reading on him or his material. My path at that time was more eclectic, pagan.
Okay.
So, yep. So when I met Tom, he sparked my interest, and
This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I believe in. Take it or leave it.
Nice. Nice.
but that went both ways.
Of course it did. Real quick, brief introductions, so everybody knows who you guys are. I did give you guys your name, but I just figured a little intro from you guys would be awesome too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm Rhiannon Larkspur. Here on Instagram, I am known as Tau Heka Hemet Netjer Tepi. I live here in Central Florida. I am the deputy body master of Templum Priory. We ourselves are part of the Thelemic order and also Ecclesia Babalon.
And hyphenating the words just a little bit, my name is Priory Winter. I too am here in Central Florida. My given name, titles is Tau Shem Hekahem Netjer Tepi. Priory Master of Templum Priory here in Central Florida. Also a member of the Thelemic Order and a ordained bishops in Ecclesia Babalon, as well as the Thelemic Order.
Nice, nice. Great to have you guys on.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
What?
Thank you for having us.
Oh, no problem. It's pleasure's all mine. The next question is how does the TTO differ from the OTO?
The simplest way I can put it is that the OTO is a hierarchy, very militaristic, and the Thelemic Order is very grassroots oriented, being that do what you want to do as long as you don't bring trouble upon the top. Make sure there's safety, consent, and transparency in everything you do. Other than that, do thou wilt.
Okay. Now, a follow-up question to that. Was the hierarchy or the nature of OTO as it currently exists, was that in Aleister Crowley's vision for the OTO, or did it somehow deviate over the years?
Well, it's how he set it up back over 100 years ago, where these secret societies and these kind of secret orders were the way and the norm to get esoteric knowledge around. It was based on old Aeon mindsets and social norms and boundaries. But now here we are over 100 years later in the new Aeon, and TTO represents more of that, where we are more open to new ideas. We are more heterodox as opposed to orthodox, and all inclusive.
Okay. All right. In what ways are the TTO and the OTO similar?
In similarity, well, TTO being as new as it is, as opposed to the OTO, being able to sit on the fence and look back and forth at both sides, I can see where, the same way that Crowley said, oh, I like this, I'm going to include this in Thelema.
Right.
Oh, I liked what I learned in Masonry, I'm going to convert that into part of the degrees. There is a little similarity as far as being an educational arm and a ecclesiastical arm, where they both kind of are going to branch and meet the keystone in the middle of the arch and come together. But that's about the only things I can really say that would be similar.
Okay. And how does your organization, the Templum Priory, how does that fit within TTO, and how does it operate?
Go ahead.
Okay. I keep using the word because it's constantly put on me whenever I go to, like the head and say, I would like to try this. What do you think about that? That's great. Go ahead and do it. Just make sure the top 3 rules, you're taking care of those 3 things that aren't going to get us in any trouble. And so being the fact that it's very grassroots and based on what Crowley said, doing your will and whatever it is you're going to do, we're behind you 100%. We're not going to stand in your way. There's no boxes to check, no needing permission from the next level, and then hold on, it's delayed because now we're going to have to send it to the next level to get it approved. And if they don't approve, if you waited a month or however long, it's like, oh, sorry, you can't do that. Whereas anything that we've said that we wanted to do from the onset of creating this priory, they've been behind us 100%. There's been no stumbling blocks, nothing to impede our movement on our course.
Okay, that's awesome. Very awesome.
Yes.
So how did you hear about Ecclesia Babalon?
Yeah, that would be my question to answer. Well, I had been friends with Bob McDonald on Facebook. He was Pineapple Abbey was part of TTO for a while, and kind of met online and liked each other's posts and stuff. And I want to say it was mid-September, beginning of September, mid-September, actually, maybe towards the end of September. I saw a post for the call to Babalon. And I myself had never worked with Babalon before, but wanted to, and was wondering at that time what would be the best way to approach this practice. And here was my billboard. Here you go. There you go. So I went on Ecclesia Babylon's website, did some reading, and was very, very interested and wanted to do the call. So I sent the information to Tom here, and he was also keenly interested.
Right, only because I've had a on-off relationship with Babylon for the last 13 and a half years. So it's been a long distance relationship that's worked out well.
Nice. And the next question is, how are the TTO and Ecclesia Babylon similar?
Well, they both are very open and accepting. You know, all of the members have different paths, but all seem to meet at some point and form that community. You know, no one's path is exactly the same as another's, but we are all inclusive of that, and there's none of that discrimination or instances where some of your practices may be too dark to hold in public ritual and stuff like that. But so they are similar there.
So
and I think sure.
basically they're heterarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. That's good.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that on this side of the fence, when we say the laws for all, we mean everyone, no matter how you identify.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter. And therein lies the heterodoxic aspect, the androgyny and the Baphomet quality, that where, you know, everyone recognizes that they are equally a split between both, from the first aeon of Isis to the feminine, to the next one of Osiris, the masculine, and then now we're in the new aeon, the child. The combining of both the mother and father is, you know, that exactly.
Nice. And I agree with that. The law is for all, regardless of you know, distinction or difference. The next question is, how are they different?
Well, in lots of ways, you know, for one thing, in you know, in structure, there's a couple of, well, I guess inside Ecclesia Babylon, I guess there could be a couple of different arms. There aren't, but well, we have two separate arms of the Thelemic order. We have the initiatory arm and the ecclesiastic, the EGH. Not required to, you know, do one or the other or both or what have you. It's a little more structured, where in EB we have the three circles. I guess we kind of have a similar structure inside the Thelemic order, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, that whereas, you know, there's, you know, in order to get to that next level in Ecclesia Babylon, you know, come back and talk to us when you've completed the 77 days, and let's see, you know, from when you started till the end, where you are there, if you still want to go through that gate to the next level.
There are, you know, requirements to be a Priory master, and there are requirements to become, you know, ordained clergy, you know, just like with us in EB. You need to complete your call and, you know, do the creed. And so there are requirements to become clergy. That is similar. Just the community aspect is there also.
Between both factions, there is a renewed sense of family.
that there is.
Yeah.
That's important.
I agree. That is very important in any community.
Mhm.
Oh, that would be the Lemic Hell. That's where all the Black Brothers go. Um, that's the running joke here in the Abyss, anyways. So the next question is, how do you, each one of you, work with Babalon, and what does Babalon mean to you?
I'll let you go first.
This could be a lengthy answer.
We have plenty of time.
Well, like I said, when I started the call, I had been thinking about working with Babalon for a while, since hearing about Thelema and, of course, hearing her name and doing reading on her. I was interested back in 2019? We did the invocation of Lilith.
Okay. Yes.
So in reading about Lilith, she is one of those goddesses, well, any of them really, but Lilith and Babalon are two goddesses that you just don't jump into practice with willy-nilly. You need to build that relationship, get to know them in order to invoke them properly and not get run over the coals. So with my experience with working with Lilith, I knew when I wanted to approach Babalon, it was to be in reverence. So the call helped. She has opened parts of myself I knew that weren't there. She absolutely demands that you do your shadow work, and you are going to examine every bit and aspect of yourself, dark, light, anywhere in the middle, and she will make you destroy yourself and put yourself back together and pick through the pieces of what serves you and what doesn't, over and over and over and over again. And I wouldn't change a thing. It sounds awful, and it is, but it's also the most beautiful thing in the world, because I feel like I'm finally coming into myself and claiming my power, and I have her at my back.
Nice, beautiful, love it.
As far as me, it all began for me many years ago when I went to a Babalon working right. And upon leaving that, it left me kind of with, one of those itches you can't reach, that you can't seem to scratch, and even when you do, sometimes it's still there. That's how it built for me. With regards to the Divine Feminine, I've worked with, of course, I've worked with Nuit as part of AA working, which led to other, like I said, working with, researching, and putting together things like the invocation of Lilith, and in turn doing the same thing for Babalon. So it's kind of like always been there in my blood. And it happened to fall into place at the right time when this happened to, it's coming back into the mainstream, but it's not the cool, hey, wow, look at me, hashtag Babalon, hashtag Lilith, it's finally, you're able to reach out and go, oh, wow, there are more people out there that actually understand this and want to be part of this.
Yeah. I agree with you, Brianna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
The E throws me off. I'm sorry. But when I started working with Babalon, I agree that she's not one to jump into without having some level of reverence or respect for her, her station and for her as a deity. And she definitely can rake you through the coals, even if you are a devotee of her, because when I was doing the call, I had some very intense experiences with that. And you really have to open yourself up a lot and expose yourself, kind of like a raw nerve in a way.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
And there are subtle differences working with Babalon as you know, versus working with Lilith. I've never worked with Lilith, but I've talked to people who have, and she's, you know, same kind of intensity, but in also kind of a different way as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I definitely, shadow work is definitely a part of it. But when you open yourself up and you expose yourself to that to her energy, to her being, yeah, it's very fulfilling and beautiful, and it's a great experience. Um, with my 2 cents, if you guys don't have any, we'll move on to the next question.
Well, I was going to say, when working with Babalon, she will demand every drop of your blood poured into that cup. You will hold back not one drop. And yet she will make you look at every single fiber of your being. And it's necessary. It's necessary for growth.
I was just going to say that the fact that doing the call together and sitting this close and having two separate revelations of how she manifests to each of us in different ways, even though we're, you know, in the same space, you know, doing the mantra at the same time, but yet have two totally different experiences in the same, you know, on that same 156 current.
Nice. Yeah,
Yes.
very, very true. Very true. The next question is, you could have sort of hinted at this a little bit in your introductions, but I figure I go over it again so you could elaborate further. What are your roles in Templum Priory?
She's the face. She's the public facing. I'm juggling. I'm juggling in the background.
Yeah. He's the brains behind the operation. The big brain.
My wife says I have a big brain too. I wonder sometimes.
Well, we support each other completely. You know, like I said, I handle a lot of the social aspects, all the social media, a lot of the administrative stuff, and wrangling the cats, all that good stuff.
Right.
Raven Phoenix at 93 says the man behind the curtain. That's definitely true.
Don't listen to the man behind the curtain.
Pay no attention.
Pay no attention.
The great and powerful Oz has
The
spoken.
great and powerful Winter
Has spoken.
For a year and a half, we did the Triune mass practice.
What is the Triune Mass?
Oh boy, back in April of 2020, we were handed this 50-something page document written by an anonymous sibling within the Thelemic order. Since Crowley's Gnostic Mass is owned by OTO, we wanted some rituals of our own. So a few siblings have written a few different masses and lots of different rituals and dedications and all kinds of stuff, but we focused on the Triune Mass. We did many, many Gnostic masses when we were part of the OTO. We would travel all around Florida to do the mass. And when we left the OTO, that was the one thing that we missed the most. The ritual is just beautiful, and we love it, and it became part of our lives. So we got our hands on this document. We were told as ordained clergy to make it your own.
Yes.
So we spent a year and a half and worked with it and took it apart and rebuilt it and tweaked it and rewrote it a bunch of times and made it our own.
Yes.
Nice. Now,
Yes.
are there more members to the Tuat Templum Tuat Priory?
Yes.
Yes.
There is Chris Shuck. He lives about 15 miles away from here. He is part of us also. Alyssa Norris, or Asteria Marana, on Facebook. She is a member of ours also. She has worked with us very closely and assumed the messenger role in the Triune Mass over the last year and a half. And while she just got her charter for her own, will be getting her charter for her own priory, she will always be part of Templum Tuat. Also, Todd McKinney also.
Alabama.
Yep, in Alabama. He also has his own priory.
Now.
Yep, but was with us almost from the very
From the
beginning.
very beginning.
Built all of our websites, created the beautiful missal that we were able to share, takes care of our website, so he will always be a member also.
I saw your missal. It's very beautiful, very well crafted. Yeah, high praise on that publication and the work that went into it.
Mm-hmm. He does good work.
Yeah. Well, anytime we would travel as a mass team, wherever we would go, we'd always grab one of the body's missiles from an OTO missile just to say, oh, we were there, and just to look at it. And, they're all kind of the same, black and white, hard to read, what's going on.
Photocopied over and over
and over
again.
again. So we just use that as the stepping stone to say, if I were going to do this better, what spin would I put on it? And I'm like, here's everything you need to know.
Right.
And that's what he created and sent back to us, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And you guys, of course, the viewers can see that missile, I believe, on your Instagram page in one of your posts. Go check it out. This is another two-part question. What future plans does your priory have, and how can people reach it?
Future plans. Wow.
Well, a couple of small things.
Right.
We are going to start, since we got the first flagship Triune Mass under our belts, instead of practicing that every Monday night, we had been talking about starting a Liber Abba Book 4 study group. So we will be starting that in the near future for our Monday evenings.
Nice.
And maybe alternating with Triune Mass practice. We'll see.
Right, because as a result of the conclave that we just had last weekend in Baltimore, people are starting to come out of the woodworks and go, oh, what's going on here? Tell me more about this, this Triune Mass and the Thelemic Order. What's going on here? And I was going to say,
quick,
for those,
congratulations on your first public Triune Mass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully there will be more.
There is a video coming.
Yep, the video will be forthcoming.
Yes. There will be the director's cut of the raw, and then we will have the nice, shiny, pretty one to put on YouTube.
Nice. Also, I also wanted to thank you guys. I did check out your YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel called? Is it the name of your priory, or is it something else?
Templum
Yep,
2 Up
Templum 2
Productions.
Productions.
Okay, awesome. I really loved the video of you doing the LBRP. That was actually kind of my that was my understanding of how it was structured and how you pronounced it and everything. Going into that. So thank you. Your videos are an invaluable lesson to any beginning magician or Thelemite.
Well, maybe we'll do some more in the future. And
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, also,
enjoy them, and feel free to share them along if you like. For good function, and I did them for the purpose of education. And while I was learning these rituals and watching YouTube videos, my main thought was, wow, there's not a lot of females doing these videos, so why not?
yeah, that's the seemingly the downside, or to the Thelemic community. It seems is that there's a lot of male Thelemites, prominent male Thelemites, but there isn't a whole lot of prominent female Thelemites. But that's starting to change. You have, of course, yourself, and you have Mavis Lynn. You have I always Manon Hedberg White. I'm gonna butcher that. She's the author. She's the author of The Eloquent Blood.
Oh, okay.
And of course, Kindle. Yes, I was going to get to Kindle, and of course, Dot Darling. I'm trying to think of.
There's lots.
Yeah,
We're
but there's
out of the woods, but
there's a
there
lot of.
needs to be.
Barbara Germana. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, there's a lot of female Thelemites coming out and gaining prominence, and all I can do is clap and celebrate for them, because their voices are important in this community as well. With that, I finished all 10 questions. Look at me. I already said Brianna. She was the first one I mentioned. But anyways, I wanted to give this time for you to ask me a question.
Huh. I don't have anything.
You don't have anything.
Nope. Put on the spot here.
Let's see.
I like to do that generally with the last question.
Yeah.
Well, what are your plans for the future, Mr. Shin? What are you going to do next?
Well, let's see. Of course, continue doing this channel. Doing these discussions and stuff, hopefully bringing a wide assortment of different practitioners, different traditions, different minority groups and stuff like that, from a wide variety of backgrounds. Because I think all voices need to be elevated in the occult sphere and paganism at large. I will provide the link to my YouTube channel in the description once this live is over with.
I'm pretty sure I've already subscribed.
Yeah. But then also, maybe in later June, I am potentially doing a demonstration, a pro-choice demonstration, involving Ecclesia Babalon, my local chapter, the local chapter I set up, and
Nice.
handing out literature and stuff like that, and promoting bodily autonomy which is one of the core affirmations of Ecclesia Babylon.
Mhm.
And before that, real quick, this is kind of like outside of my occult practices a little bit, but I am going to be going to Indiana around the 10th of June, and going to see my great grandparents where they're buried.
Oh, nice.
Do a little ancestor work there, I guess. Um,
Wonderful.
and going to Graceland in Memphis.
Oh,
Gonna scratch off, help my mom scratch off one of her items on her bucket list. So
oh, yay.
Nice.
she wants
Yay
to
for
come to
you.
Hawaii, but I don't know if that's going to happen because I'm not fond of going over open water. Just saying.
You'll
But
be fine.
yes. Sorry, I cut you
Oh,
off
I
there.
said you'll be fine.
Yeah. I have fears.
We all
just a little bit. But with that, one last item. It is time for all of our audience to put in questions in the chat and ask
no boy.
you guys questions that I did not think of.
Okay.
So until then, we can have kind of like a free form discussion, if you like, or you continue asking me questions.
Freeform is, I mean, if people have
Yeah,
questions,
if people have
sure.
questions, we'll answer to the best of our ability.
If we don't have the right answer, we'll point you to someone who does.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm scrolling through here and seeing if we have any questions I didn't notice. Oh. Can you explain your experiences when in the middle of the Gnostic Mass? What do you, as celebrants, experience?
Well, for me, the role that I take up in the Triune Mass, Gnostic Mass, is that of Nuit. So I am channeling Nuit as the infinite stars and the infinite sky, and there is really no way to explain that feeling. But I basically open myself up to the goddess Nuit. And during the Mass, it is her speaking through me. After the Gnostic Mass, for half of it, I am naked. And I have had people ask me, oh, well, aren't you self-conscious? Don't you feel weird being up, naked on this altar in front of people you don't know? And my answer is no, because it's not me up on the altar. It is not me speaking those words. It is Nuit. So that's the experience for me.
As far as my experience, well, I've done every role except for Nuit. I started as a child, moved into messenger, the deacon. There was a immediate need for clergy, so it was like, here's a boot camp in one weekend. Start studying to learn the role of the priest of the Gnostic Mass. And so it's kind of putting the cart in front of the horse, so to speak, out of necessity. But with relocation and changes of bishops, some people came and says, I don't care how many times you've done this, or this, until you can proficiently prove each of the other parts to build on, you'll never get any further. So as far as my experience in the Mass, I'm sure anybody who's been may or may not get this perspective, but the temple is laid out like the tree of life, with the Sephirah, the priest being dead at Malkuth, and Nuit sitting up at the crown of the world at Kether. The messenger stands at Tibreth at the sun, and people, the children, are on the sidelines along with any of your congregants, and that encompasses your three levels. And I've always been of the experience of, at the beginning of whether it's the Gnostic Mass or the Triune Mass, when everyone is saying the Gnostic Creed, it's a way of me to separate myself spiritually, to be able to rise up above and look down at my temple and see the three cross lines where the triads meet above and below the abyss. So it's a very, if you read between the lines and actually read through the Mass, you'll come to the conclusion of, oh, I get it. This is nothing but a cleverly disguised sex magic ritual encompassing sacred sexuality, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and the Baphomethras. The baptism of wisdom, the joining of both, the polarity switching, as it doesn't really matter. So
that's very very well put, well said. I would say I recently actually described to a friend who had asked me about the HGA, and I described the experience of union with the HGA as kind of like synchrosexual, like you're basically having sex with a god form. It wasn't it, and he said that that was a very interesting way of describing it. He liked the idea that it's being basically a kind of sex magic ritual, but at the same time a death of self. It's kind of a combination of both. One person described it as my correlation between the two as being kind of like someone said jokingly, does it count as necrophilia? And I said no. But then again, I mean, Christians are eating Eucharists, that's supposedly the body and blood of Jesus. So, I don't think they have a ground to stand on when it comes to, partaking in corpses. So anyway, where can everybody reach you?
Well, we are both on social media. We are both on Facebook, Brian Larkspur, Frauder Winter. We have a Templum Tuat page, which is our public page for all of the temple updates. There's also the Lemic Order page. There's also a public page. There's also a private group. We have a website.
TemplumTuat.com.
And WTTO.world.
You can reach it exactly. WTTO.world will take you to our site as well.
Yep.
Nice. With that, I want to thank you again for coming on live with the live at the Abyss with Dot Nihilits, and you guys have a wonderful evening, and I hope to have you back on in the future.
Likewise.
Look forward to that. Thank you
Excellent.
for
Thank
having
you.
us. Thank you.
No problem. Again, pleasure was all mine.
Have a great night. 93s,
93.
156.
93, 156. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.